West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand why
agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
$8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. This show is unlike any other radio program out there. It's not a monologue. You're not going to just hear what you want to hear. This is a debate, a discussion show. And my co-host today is Patricia Calhoun, the founder, editor-in-chief of Westward. And I always knew you to have good institutional knowledge of Denver, but I've been taken on into the stratosphere today. I could throw out any name, and you would have stories and background, any restaurant, any shop down there, and you would know it. There's a brilliant savant-level knowledge of Denver. So give us a call and join the conversation, especially if you have questions about the city. Patricia Calhoun, Westward, here live in studio with me. The phone number 303-696-1971. The Dan Capitalist Law Text line at 720-819-5115. Do Better Denver had a scandalous video of you sitting down in public with Mike Johnston.
I know, it was shocking that that we were in broad daylight. You know, well, first of all, I have to give Mike Johnston credit because many is the time mayors haven't talked to us for a very long time.
To you guys?
Oh, yeah. We've been cut off by long lists of people. And then usually because it's Colorado, you want to be able to talk to people. You want to be able to have a civil conversation. So you have a disagreement, and then ideally you go on. That's what should happen. Public officials should talk to journalists. In this case, Mike Johnston had arranged to meet with me because I'd been chasing after the Denver Pavilion sale. And we'd gotten a tip that the pavilions were being sold. The Downtown Denver Authority was going to buy the pavilions because it's an integral part of 16th Street. We couldn't get it confirmed, which meant we couldn't write it. We didn't write the rumor. We just couldn't get it confirmed. So afterwards, because we'd been stonewalled, Mike Johnston did give me a call. We sat down in public on 16th, right by the pavilions, to talk about that deal and a bunch of other things that we'll be writing about. I agree with him on some things, really disagree with him about others, and we'll be talking about that. But there happened to be a lawyer's birthday party in the Kittredge building, which is right above where we were. And because you can tell by the way that was shot that one of the people at that party probably took the video, which is fine. It's just not that exciting that I was sitting down with the mayor. But it was a bunch of different municipalities. Officials were up at this party. So we ran into a whole bunch of people we knew.
Yeah, it didn't seem like you were trying to hide. You're out in the middle of 16th Street Mall.
I'm a little better at hiding than that. But, in general, we don't hide.
Tell me about his administration. What do you think he's doing right? What do you think he's doing wrong?
I wish I could know what we should have done instead with migrants. That's kind of like COVID. In hindsight, you say there's got to be something we could have done better.
Well, don't hang a giant banner that says we are immigrants outside. Hey, that's going to bring a lot of them.
The welcoming immigrants banner dates from the Hancock administration on City Hall. So that's it. I think part of it is late to the party talking to small businesses about their different issues with permitting. I mean, he's been there 2 years. By now we should have had some of those things fixed. I think so late to the party on that. I think some of the different departments are not as open as they should be. I think we see different. I disagree with some of what's going on at Parks and Recreation, for example. I understand they didn't like the Buffalo Bill grave, the store there, but it's closed now. That's a really important tourist place, a place for Denver. Go up there. Echo Lake still isn't opened. They want to take over the Wash Park bathhouse. I might have it wrong. Das Chappelle's headquarters for Volunteers for Outdoor Colorado, which does so much good for the state, but they're getting booted. Their lease isn't being renewed. I think about where people in Denver and Metro Denver really care. They care about the outdoors. They care about their parks. We need to pay attention to those things.
Patricia, you strike me similar to Ted Trimpa as what I would call a classical liberal. Now, I don't know your political backgrounds, but I'm guessing, and you could correct me, but that you're a classical liberal in the sense of kind of like a Berkeley free speecher, right? You appreciate those foundational principles that have made America. You maybe side personally with Democrats. I don't know. But you don't strike me as somebody that's a leftist, a Marxist. Part of the critique that conservatives have is that Colorado is not that old school Democrat anymore. It's getting more progressive and more progressive. And people down at the state capitol, for instance, are not reasonable Democrats anymore. They're leftists. What's your response to that? Do you think that Denver's getting more progressive, more liberal, more leftist?
Denver itself, maybe not, because Denver's always been pretty blue. The state itself, obviously, more so. But here's the problem. You put labels on, you got leftists, and then you get the Republicans who are, looked at as crazies and wackos. What we need to do is get everyone to be a little more reasonable and, frankly, open it up to people who aren't members of both parties. That's one of the big issues out there, that you don't want to be locked in with just two parties, because if you've got the wrong people running the parties, you're not going to get the more reasonable candidates in those areas. And I'm thinking about the Republicans, the Colorado Republicans who
we can't even host a meeting together.
Right. You can't host a meeting, much less get behind a really interesting candidate, like, say, Barb Kirkmeyer, you would hope someone like that could make it out of the primary. 4 years ago, could she have? I don't think so.
I went down to the Bernie Sanders rally, and it was fascinating. If you had airdropped me into it, I would have thought I was at a John Tesh concert. It was mostly boomers carrying their little chairs with them to go watch Bernie Sanders. Dave Flaherty, Magellan Strategies poll comes out. Democrats do not have high favorability in the state, even though they have total control of the political apparatus. And the highest favorability among voters, according to Dave Flaherty and Magellan Strategies, is with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So I bring this up because I had Ted Tripp on Monday, I have you Wednesday, but sandwiched in between was Deep Singh Badesha, a member of the Democrat Socialists of America, who's going, no, our Democrats are way too moderate in this state. We need to get far more progressive, to the point he's ready to launch a primary challenge, not him himself, but somebody within DSA, against John Hickenlooper. Do you think that they're going to be successful? Do you think that progressive wing will be successful? Do you think the Colorado voter is going to treat them the same way they do with Tay Anderson and Elizabeth Epps and Tim Hernandez and show them the door?
I have a high hope that Coloradans in general are reasonable people. They might disagree on some true personal issues like abortion. There are some real bedrock issues they might disagree on, but I would hope most Coloradans agree on they want fiscal responsibility. They want personal responsibility. They also want to be able to live their lives. I think that's why so many people move to Colorado, because they feel like they have more personal freedom, but also more personal responsibility. I think this is a libertarian lowercase l state for the most part. You look at it because of how many people are unaffiliated. They don't want to affiliate with either party. Most vote, I think it might even have inched into the majority of the voters are unaffiliated. That's because they don't want to sign on with either party, because they don't agree with the directions the parties are going. So you could see, if people go too far out in the Democratic race or the Republican race, their competitors who are closer to the mainstream are going to win.
Interesting. I see it a little differently. So that was the Colorado I absolutely knew 10 years ago, was the small L Libertarian Party, because I lost everything that I tried to work on. Doctor-assisted suicide, lost. Marijuana commercialization, lost. The abortions issue, lost. I've lost on all social conservative issues in this state, so I know it well. But I think I've seen a shift, and I want to give credit to Deep Singh Badesha yesterday, pointing out that in Democrat rooms he's in, Phil Weiser versus Michael Bennett, Phil's getting the applause. not because of the great things Phil's led on, because he's so opposed to Donald Trump. So the voters looking for that like feisty, passionate fight Donald Trump, AOC, more socialist leaning. I think that, and then 30,000 showing up for Bernie. 30,000. I mean, we go back to 2008 DNC. That was 75,000 at Mile High. Romney was 9,000 at Red Rocks. So this is the biggest turnout since Obama, and they're coming out for AOC. I think that the electorate in Colorado is getting a lot more progressive than they were libertarian. I don't know. Any response?
Well, I think they're getting more active. That's one of the things we have to remember. And I'm taking the long view again about protests in the late 60s and the early 70s. People are going out and protesting. When you talk about the John Tesh concert, the age, that's not insignificant. You're getting people on their last hurrah to say, I'm going to go out and protest. But does that also mean, well, AOC is not a Colorado candidate. So we'll see is there a Colorado equivalent of AOC? We've seen some, but they pale in comparison, right? So if AOC lived here, would she win? Probably, but we don't have an AOC.
Interesting. Patricia Calhoun's live in studio, the founder, editor-in-chief of Westward. Would love for you to join the conversation. Barney, we're going to get to you in a second. Feel free to give us a call at 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Hey, good Wednesday morning. 48 and sunny, expecting a high of 79 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Dollar Store Obama, accepting a challenge to debate a debate from House Speaker Mike Johnson. According to The Hill, Jeffries told a small group of reporters on Capitol Hill that he looks forward to the debate. Johnson's hoping to sit down with Jeffries on C-SPAN's new program, Ceasefire. Jeffries says the two leaders are going to try to get their appearance scheduled on the show, which aims to bring people of opposing viewpoints together to discuss the issues of the day. Good. But the shutdown continues. At 1 o'clock this afternoon in the Oval Office, DJT has a press briefing with FBI Director Kash Patel. Anything is possible there. Cartels are working with the leftist terror groups in the United States, offering thousands of dollars for the assassinations of top border officials, including Commander Greg Bovino.
We've got $50,000 bounties on the heads of federal law enforcement officers. We have criminals ramming vehicles, criminals bringing guns to protests. This is not regular street crime here in Chicago. We have assaults on Border Patrol agents, ICE officers, and our allied law enforcement agencies every day, often multiple times per day. And again, these assaults, the lethality of these assaults is increasing.
How can your officers respond to that effectively?
Well, there's power in numbers. There's safety in numbers. Secretary Noem, ever since that terror attack we saw in Dallas, she's been hardening our ICE facilities. President Trump has called in the National Guard, a very prescient and great, strong leadership we've seen from the President of the United States. But, I mean, we are seeing a coordinated, highly organized waging of war on our law enforcement, on the
Yep, and it's the left. That's Tricia McLaughlin, Homeland Security, and it just continues. These people want chaos. They don't want crime to stop. They just want craziness, and a lot of them are paid agitators, protesters. Tuesday at the White House, DJT posthumously awarded Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Erica Kirk spoke, and it was also Charlie's birthday. Here is 47.
At age 18, that insight inspired Charlie to found the organization that ultimately touched the lives of millions and millions of people, and so many young people, that nobody's ever seen anything like it, frankly. Turning Point USA. It's amazing. And it's actually bigger now. It's become bigger in the last few weeks than Charlie ever thought.
Israel and Hamas working on phase 2 of President DJT's Gaza peace plan. Mediators from both sides have returned to the negotiating table this morning to discuss the next phase of the 20-point peace plan. The talks come as violence has broken out in Gaza between Hamas and rival Palestinian groups. 18-year-old Matthew Silverstone, a hero who was injured in last month's shooting at Evergreen High School, has been released from the hospital. First responders and hospital personnel cheered Silverstone as he was rolled out of the facility on a stretcher.
He's brave. That's a brave kid. That's amazing. Determined. Yeah, very determined. Strong, very strong. He's a survivor. And he's funny. He did not lose the sense of humor. Yeah.
Part of his medical team. That is great to hear. Silverstone confronted and fought with the suspect during the September 10th shooting and was wounded in the head and the chest. His heart stopped twice before he was stabilized at the hospital. The Avalanche at the Blue Jackets tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We had hoops last night, NBA preseason. They're back at it. Nuggets over the Bulls, 124-117. A lot of defense played in that one. And the Dodgers beat the Brew Crew 5-1, and they lead the NLCS 2-0. 44 in Lafayette, 46 in Sheridan, 48 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue with Patty in the chair for Billy. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast, clear and starry skies starting off our Wednesday. Lows tonight will be in the upper 40s. With sunshine Wednesday afternoon, we'll hit the upper 70s with breezy winds. Some increasing clouds Wednesday night might have a slight chance for a shower. Lows going to be upper 40s. Thursday going to be cooling off, low and mid-60s. Scattered showers and a few thunderstorms. Sunshine returns Friday and Saturday. Highs mid-60s, lows low 40s. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Live in studio, co-hosting with me today is Patricia Calhoun. She's the founder, editor of Westward. She's a fount of knowledge when it comes to the city of Denver. Westward was founded in 1977. She's still going. Editor-in-chief. She knows it all. So give us a call. Ask her a question, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's go to the phone lines. Barney, Denver. Good morning, Barney. You're on with Jeff and Patty. Do we have Barney? All right, we'll get Barney here in a second. We'll see if we can bring him back up. So we talked about Mike Johnston, his leadership, drug before Congress, for instance, with regards to illegal immigrants. I want to talk to you a little bit about Mike's journey on this issue, because if you remember, he was very proud to be able to provide these services. They spent, according to Common Sense Institute, $356 million providing services for illegal immigrants. That included 6 months of apartments, legal advice, ATM cards, and workforce training. Then Trump gets elected, and Mikey, I refer to him as Mikey, but Mike goes, I am going to stand between ICE and mass deportations and my people here in Denver. We'll even put Denver police at the county line if we need to. This will be a Tiananmen Square moment. And then I noticed that in the 2026 budget, there's not a dime for illegal immigrants. He's now rolled that entirely back. This was after having to lay off a bunch of employees. What do you think of Mayor Mike Johnston's journey regarding illegal immigrants?
Well, let's put things in perspective. We don't have busloads of immigrants coming up from Texas, being sent here from Texas right now. We don't have immigrants landing in Denver in the snow.
Yeah, in the middle of winter.
He had to deal with that, and he did deal with it immediately. He didn't send them back to Texas, although certainly Denver did buy bus tickets and send some people to the destinations they wanted. We are not the Border Patrol. We're not even a border state, but we had the ramifications of a very bad immigration policy for decades, and Denver was the end result of some of it. It wasn't Denver's fault that Congress hasn't passed things, that we don't have a reasonable immigration policy. So I'm not entirely sure what I would have done were I Mike Johnston when suddenly hundreds of immigrants were showing up every day in the cold with kids. So I think housing them, Denver has always been truly a welcoming city in so many different ways, whether you're a transplant from Chicago or you are an immigrant. But obviously he had to make changes. I think his response to Trump's statement was a little over the top. Tiananmen Square, I don't think so. When he was talking about Highland mommies lining up at the border, definitely over the top. But he did state that, Denver is a welcoming city. We were going to take care of this mess, which wasn't ours. We didn't start it. So now the immigrant, they're not coming in. So the immigrants that are coming in are not flooding Denver. They might be going to some of our humanitarian nonprofits to get help. But that crisis is over. We are left in a financial crisis.
And they didn't necessarily have to be as welcoming as they were. And I point out Aurora, for instance. Danielle Jurinsky and Aurora going, we're not going to cut services to do this with regards to illegal immigrants. And I think Mike Kaufman has had to sue Mike Johnston with regards to where they were placing some of the immigrants without notifying or covering some of the costs. And I think that led to part of the Tren de Aragua problems that they had in Aurora. So Denver didn't have to be as welcoming to illegal immigrants as they were. Do you think they made a mistake?
I think we made a Denver, and I'm using we as the Denver because I wasn't housing them, but Denver made a mistake perhaps in not vetting things better, not looking at where they were putting people. I mean, the apartments in Aurora were already a mess. The ones that were managed by CBZ, they were already being watched by Aurora. So I think moving too quickly, there were some mistakes made, no question. But should we have turned those buses back at the Denver border? I don't think so.
Really? You don't think so? Oh, 100%.
Send them back to Texas?
Yeah, or back to the country they came from.
Well, I think we could only send them back to Texas. But
yeah. What do you think Coloradans look at what Trump's done on immigration and Colorado being a sanctuary state, Denver being a sanctuary city, putting restrictions? I mean, Phil Weiser, for instance, if you're law enforcement and you even text message someone on ICE with regards to an illegal immigrant being here, Phil Weiser's going to come after you. Do you think Colorado's been right to position themselves as a sanctuary state?
I wouldn't say we've positioned ourselves as a sanctuary state, but I will say if you're an illegal immigrant and you've committed crimes, of course you should be prosecuted. Of course you should go. Our justice system should deal with you, and you will probably send you to ICE. And I think they are doing that. It's the others who they're in a courthouse. They're going in for other business, and ICE is detaining them. They're detaining people on the streets. This has happened here. It's not been as publicized or as controversial as it has been in California. But there have been people who've been picked up and detained for no good reason other than the color of their skin and where they're from. They might have been in the process of trying to become legal. They might have been in the process of going for asylum. And that has definitely happened.
And I don't see any problem with that. If you're not supposed to be here.
You don't see a problem detaining them at the ICE facility in Aurora?
No, not at all. I mean, and in fact, I appreciate what Trump's doing on mass deportations, because we had anywhere from 10 to 20 million that came in via Biden's terrible administrations. They shouldn't be here. Just go home. And I see them being here illegally as a crime. So I've found it intriguing that people go, well, they're here illegally, but didn't necessarily commit another crime. What should we do with those people?
send them through a system that they either can gain legal status in a more efficient, less than 20-year way, or work with the other countries to come up with options. Yes, but there has to be something. But I would say someone who's done a violent crime should not be a roommate with someone who just who came to the country illegally and has done nothing else that's illegal.
We went down and interviewed the folks at these apartment complexes. And what was heartbreaking to me was what the women have gone through to get here. Okay, so I spoke to one woman who had been assaulted through 5 countries to get here. And she was in tears because the country she thought she was coming to is not the country she came to, in the sense that we have to remember what they hear down in Venezuela is not necessarily what is true here.
Of course.
So what they heard was that this land is open to migrants. So she journeyed through 5 countries, being assaulted all along the way, got here, found out the country wasn't open. I think there's kindness.
So what would you do with her?
Send her back.
Well, how do you send her back? You just fly her back into Venezuela?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we did. But
that she left because of conditions that were so horrific.
Yeah, because there's kindness and clarity, I see. Like, we have an immigration process. I know it's long, but it's long because we have to vet who we bring into this country. And I think that type of clarity to people, that if you want to become an American, this is the process you follow, is clear and kind. Lying to somebody and saying that this country is open when it's not, and watching them be assaulted on this terrible journey, I don't see that as compassionate.
Well, let's say this. I think by now, everyone has the message.
Yeah. And isn't that good, though?
Well, it's good that they have the message.
Right, right. And they know how to follow the process to become an American citizen. I'm not against
immigrants. I'm not so sure they do actually still know how to follow the process. But the fact that you are not coming here to the promised land and getting raped along the way, that's good. Yeah.
That's Patricia Calhoun. She's live in studio with us as Bill Thorpe is out this week. We're having a great discussion. Look at that, jam-packed phone lines.
Okay.
All right. We got the conversation going. We want to try Barney again? All right, Barney, Denver. Good morning, Barney. You're on with Jeff and Patty.
Hey, so I'm going to be very nice. Is it okay to call you Patty, Patricia? What do we call you?
Barney, you can call me whatever you want, but Patty's fine.
Okay, Patty. You said something about Barb Kirkmeyer, and this is not why I called. I called to stick up for the gay guy, Nick, or whatever his name was, just a second. So, Barb, Patty, you said Barb Kirkmeyer was blah, blah, blah. Don't you think that we could all look at Victor Marx and say, wow, this guy's one hell of a guy? Like, he's got one heck of a story? This is where we have a problem with you guys, and you guys just started talking about immigration. Trump's biggest problem, what he should do when he comes out with something, just say it's a comprehensive plan. It's a comprehensive plan for me to blow Hamas back to hell. That's what he needs, the word comprehensive, because that seems like what liberals do and everything's fine. But you're really not fair. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love you for what you've done. I think your newspaper's been awesome. But you're the left-leaning stuff. You shouldn't be so obviously left-leaning. And I don't know. It's just not fair. You brought up immigration. Are you kidding me? So liberals just want immigrants here to pick their strawberries or clean their hotel rooms. I mean, I feel bad for the people that get turned away. But, oh, wow, all of a sudden the border's shut down.
All right.
We didn't need
Barney, we need to get to a question. Right. Do you have a question for Patricia?
My question is, I don't know. I wanted to stick up for the gay guy. The trans stuff is absolutely, Patricia, you should have nailed it. You said you're right. The trans issue has destroyed the gays. This trans issue is just a joke. And that's what you should have said to that poor guy. Because I know gays that went through it 40 years ago. They were locked up because they were at a gay bar, for Christ's sake. The gays have paid a price, and we're dumping on them right now with this trans stuff. He's right. That guy's 100% right. Your buddy.
All right, Patricia, do you want to respond? Right. Barney, appreciate the call, buddy.
Well, I wouldn't say the trans issue is a joke. It's just a different issue. There are plenty of people who believe they're transgender. That just should not be lumped in with gay and lesbian issues.
So you would agree with kind of separating out some of the LGB and then
some of the issues are different, right? I mean,
yeah, I appreciate that because they are. Like I pointed out, there doesn't seem to be a logical consistency with arguing I'm born gay and then let a child choose permanent and some things change. But it seems to me that what the LGB made their claim on was I happen to be born this way. So.
Well, and you can also say I was born, I'm a different gender, but that is a different issue than who you love, than who you are attracted to. That's a different issue than being gay.
All right. Phone lines are hot. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Guys, let's talk about your hair loss. If you're losing it, you need a simple solution that works. You want the best modern technology, top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need Dr. Tanya Pauls and her team at Advanced Hair. They've completely redefined hair restoration, from the experience itself to their unmatched results. Receding hairline, bald spot, or thinning hair. Address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments, and get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. No one in Denver can offer anything like the Advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair, and I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Call 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Refine your hairline with the team that's redefined hair restoration. 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. Advancedhair.com. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show. Patricia Calhoun, editor-in-chief of Westward, sitting in for Bill. News Talk 710 KNUS.
Wake up, Denver. There's no better place to start your morning than IHOP, where the pancakes are fluffy, the coffee is hot, and the smiles are endless. Wednesday, October 22nd, join Jeff and Bill as they broadcast their show live from IHOP at 9565 South University Boulevard in Highlands Ranch. You're officially invited to be part of the excitement. Come grab your favorite breakfast and watch the Jeff and Bill Show in action from 6 to 10 a.m. Don't forget to try the special Jeff and Bill breakfast. Pancakes, any style eggs, and crispy bacon, all for just $7.10. It's a deal as good as their hot takes. All they need is you. Bring your appetite, bring your friends, and kick off your day with great food and great conversation. See you Wednesday, October 22nd at IHOP.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Bill's out this week. Sitting in with me is Patricia Calhoun, the founder, editor-in-chief of Westword. We're taking your phone calls. The debate is spicy. Phone and text. We're having a ton of fun, which is why we love this show. Let's go back to the phone lines. Ron, Colorado Springs. Good morning. You're on with Jeff and Patricia.
Hey, good morning. Hey, first of all, I want to thank Patty. I've been listening to her and Pete over the years. She is an incredible reporter and journalist. And, I just think I wish all of them brought to the job the attitude she has to get the truth out. I don't know why people who support bringing the illegals into Denver and then spending $256 million, they have compassion for them, but they don't ever really look at the other side of the coin, and that's the services that have been denied Denver citizens. And how do you rationalize the two? Let's give money away to these people who broke into the country and deny it. How would you look at that, Patty? How can you justify that imbalance?
You justify it by saying we're a humanitarian people and we want to help these people get on their feet. The problem becomes you have other people in the city who need help too. And there's not enough money to do everything. And I think that showed after the schism came pretty quickly. I mean, you feel very sympathetic to families arriving after a hellacious trip in the middle of Denver in December. And that was the mayor's first instinct. We have to help them. But long term, you're also hurting your own citizens.
Yeah, well, that last point, very right on. I don't know. I think when they come in, you give them housing and some shelter for a few weeks. Then you get on the line and call ICE and say, I've got 500 people that need to go back to their homeland. When can you be here?
Because
so it's not a matter of close.
I mean, Ron, to the logic that we were just discussing, I think you could push it further, that if we don't have the resources to be able to care for them and our people, we don't have the housing, we don't have the jobs, we don't have the opportunities, that it's just a math issue at a certain point, isn't it?
Math, and it's a shift in philosophy too. Think about this. This was billed as the land of opportunity. When you think about, but look at Dick Lamb, the late governor, and he gave a whole class on hard choices because the choices are really hard, and you are balancing. You're walking a fine line to be the land of opportunity when in fact you cannot give everyone opportunities. How do you handle that? And people fall on different sides of the line.
It's very simple. You return them to their homeland, and you take care of them. You find them, and they're hungry. You feed them and send them on their way. So I don't understand. These NGOs, they're spending other people's money to care for these illegals. Our taxes go up. Everybody's taxes go up. Services go down. The quality goes down, and they just bring me. You're tired. You're hungry. And from all over the world, we'll take care of them. It is a...
Ron, I want to push this question a little bit further now to those that are homeless in Denver. I make the claim, and I've done on this show before, that there's not a vested interest in actually alleviating poverty. That essentially what it has become is a jobs program for people who work in helping people that are poor. We don't actually... help them get out of poverty. We don't have standards by which. We don't have expectations. And you have a lot of money to the tune of like the person in Los Angeles that's charged with dealing with the poor, of earning a salary of $300,000 a year. But she's not charged with actually helping anyone become less poor. Is there a poverty industrial complex that is just providing meals, providing homes, providing tents to people that are poor, but not actually helping them get out of poverty? What do you think, Patty?
Well, I think just as we're trying to define trans and gay and lesbian, poor and homeless are not synonymous. There's overlap, but you have, let's talk about, I think the services that are available for those who can get out of homelessness, there are services available, and we applaud those that can get the families not living in their cars, that can get the people who just lost a job, didn't have enough to cover, to get them back on their feet and get them out. The challenge is the people who would have been, made wards of the state, would have been institutionalized, the people who have true mental health issues, who are out on the streets. What do you do with them? So it is a bifurcated system. You want to help the people who can help themselves. Then there are the people who don't want to get help or can't even begin to see how they can get help.
Do you think we should build more state institutions?
No, I didn't really say that, but we should build more services and make sure we can get those services provided. Now, Aurora is taking that route, which is, you have to work to get the help you want. Denver is more housing first, which is get the people off the streets so then you can get them into help. But then challenge is those who don't want to get off the streets.
Right. So my point being, though, if you do have those people, drug addicted, mental health issues, that back in the 70s we would have made wards of the state. Should we go back to that, do you think?
No, but I think this is another Dick Lamb when he said one of the things that was really a bad move in the 70s was when they opened those doors to let people out, and they didn't have systems to then help them and bolster them. So that's the bigger issue. How do you get these people the help they don't want or they don't know they need?
What do you think we should do?
I think we should be a lot more clear on what our services are, and I think Denver has gotten better, the STAR program, for example, on saying, here are the options for you.
I guess I just don't see it as compassionate that we allow people to live drug-addicted in tents, which is what happened. I mean, just right down here. They did that so recently. Yeah, but I just don't see it as compassionate, and I think that, one, because we seem to push out of the equation the safety concerns of, say, a mom who wants to take her kids to a park, for instance.
Well, I'm not saying it is compassionate. And in fact, you are not. There is no urban camping in Denver. There is no urban camping allowed. In Aurora, you are supposed to go into shelters and then you need to get the services. The question is, how do you get people to get the services they need, recognize they need them? That's a small percentage, but the others you want to keep moving along. It's the hardcore homeless that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. That's Patricia Calhoun live in studio, founder, editor-in-chief of Westward, sitting in for Bill Thorpe. We're going to get to Francis up here next. Guys, let's talk Gyrie's. Got locations all throughout the Denver metro area. They have an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. We got to sit down with a professional designer, and they showed us everything. Now, look, I was a little overwhelmed at first because I'm not in the home improvement business. I mow my lawn. I take care of my ranch. That's it. But when it comes to paint and home decor and shutters and blinds, I'm totally out of my league. It was awesome to have my wife sit down and be able to ask lots of questions and have a personal designer showcase what they all have. These great custom Hunter Douglas blinds, shades, and shutters. They even came out to our house, brought out laser measurements, got everything right. It was a wonderful experience. They offer personalized in-home consultation. They'll come directly to you. So get the same expert advice we got in our home. Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit Gyrie's.com. That's GUIRYS.com. Gyrie's.com to schedule your in-home consultation. See the great people at Gyrie's. You'll be sure to thank me. We'll continue. Francis, you're up next. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Live in studio is Patricia Calhoun. She is the founder and editor of Westward. And John, our producer here, was right on. He's like, we should just hire a double-decker bus and have Patricia give us the tour. It would be really fun. She knows everything about the city of Denver. She's a living, walking encyclopedia. Let's go to the phone lines. Francis in Golden. Good morning, Francis. You're on with Jeff and Patty.
Hey, you guys. How goes it?
Good.
That's good. I enjoy listening to Patty because she is a poster child of word economy. She is the opposite of your guest yesterday, Jeff, who did not practice word economy. But one thing that I think has happened, and certainly I think over 10 to 15 years, and maybe this is a symptom of Colorado becoming more progressive, or maybe it's a cause of it, and maybe it's a little bit of both. I don't know. But certainly Colorado has become viewed by, a lot of, I think, East Coast left-leaning and far left-leaning think tanks as being a great little petri dish to run legislative issues through. And so they will have templates of legislation that they generate out somewhere on the East Coast, find a sponsor here, generally Faith Winter, and just run the legislation. And you can see it just even the way it's worded. It's like the phrasing that would parallel other Colorado statutes doesn't match this legislation. And so it takes so much hammering, tuning, fixing to even make it make sense before you could even get it to a vote to see if it would pass. But here in Colorado, these types of things on multiple issues have shown up, and we are the petri dish now. That's what's going on.
What do you think?
Well, I think we've been a petri dish for a long time. Let's not just talk about politics, but Colorado was a huge test market for consumer products in the 70s and 80s. When we started Westward, it's because it's a smaller state and it's also landlocked, not influenced by that many other markets. Now, technology's changed some of that, but we were tested for pop rocks, you name it, crazy consumer items. So not a surprise that we would also be a petri dish for political things. Think about the slaughterhouse ballot initiative that went before Denverites.
Yes.
Like there's one slaughterhouse in town. Why is it our job as Denver residents to legislate illegal business? So, and that was brought from outside. So it's a good example of something that they tested here. It went down in flames.
I'm so glad you brought that one up because that's one that I can remember. And it was, obviously not it was a municipal issue, but not a state issue. But it was certainly just geared to killing one business, and nobody had an original thought about this before they were approached by somebody from the outside. Nobody cared or knew, and that's the one that I can think of that failed.
That was the most egregious.
Yeah, very much so. And Patty, thank you for mentioning Pop Rocks. God, I haven't. Do they even still sell those things?
They do.
You
got to have kids, but absolutely they do.
They
do.
do.
You remember the Simpsons episode where Homer's stealing candy and then he's running out and people are chasing him? He stole a Mona Lisa gummy bear and he's running out and they're chasing him. He takes Fizz and then Pop Rocks and shakes them together and throws it as a grenade.
That's great. I just wondered if those things were like.
But Francis, to your point down at the state legislature, I've talked to Hugh McKean about this when we were debating, and it's absolutely out-of-state progressive interest, but then it's special interests that control what's happening down there. Because I was talking to Hugh one time when we were debating comprehensive sex education or something like that, one of the Planned Parenthood bills, and I said, who do you try to negotiate amendments with? And he goes, I call Planned Parenthood or the ACLU because they wrote the law. Not the Democrat lawmaker.
Right. There's no way. They, honest to God, I mean, I had very limited legislative experience on a bill. It was the FAMLI. And, the people who sponsored that, they had no idea what they even sponsored. They had talking points But when you showed them what it said, they didn't have any understanding whatsoever.
Yeah, I do want to ask you this. Ted Trimp on Monday said, he longs for balance in the state. Do you think we're too progressive at this point, Patty Calhoun?
I think we have gone too far to both sides. I mean, clearly anyone who's in the Republican Party should be thinking we've gone too far to the right there, too. We do need to come more to the center, and I think that is a more traditional Colorado stance. And if we had candidates that were more in the center, I think we'd find they would be popular.
But do you see Democrat voters wanting moderate Democrats? I mean, maybe.
I think you're lumping all Democrats together. And what are your options? You could be unaffiliated, you can be Democrat, you can be Republican right now, and then there's some other smaller parties. But there's a wide range, just as there's a wide range in Republicans. There's not necessarily a wide range when the vote's counted.
But I don't see any pro-life Democrats. When we talk wide range, I think it might be, they're not quite Tay Anderson crazy. But,
Bill Ritter, pro-life Democrat. So you just don't hear about them. You don't see it because the others drown them out. And because you're not voting for 10 Democrats in a race, you're voting for 1 or 2 that have risen to the top.
Patricia Calhoun, founder and editor of Westward. We're going to continue the conversation. Feel free to give us a call at 303-696-1971. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS.